Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs. Welcome to tonight's broadcast of Sector 1 Sim Racing. We are here at Sardegna in the beautiful countryside of Italy. Please correct me if my geography is wrong. For the final round of Season 9 of Sector 1. Wow, it's kind of come up pretty quick on me here. Last time I blinked, we were at round 3, so it's bit of a shock to my system to be like the final race of the season. Look out, and it is set to be an absolute cracker as we have the cream of the crop with Category 1 on tonight. And joining me in the comms box tonight is none other than the man himself, Renegade. Renegade, how are you tonight, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Yourself?
I'm
Glad to be
excited.
here.
I am very excited tonight, actually. I am looking forward to this being an absolute cracker in Div 2. And then the piece de resistance, Division 1.
Hey, I'm glad to actually not be in the hot seat this week, so to speak.
Why is that?
Oh, it's a tough technical little circuit, this one.
Yep, you're not wrong. Having found out the hard way and checking the structural integrity of some of the roadside barriers myself last week, I can confirm it is a little bit more technical. There's a few little undulations in the road that will catch you out if you are not paying attention, and I certainly was not paying attention and paid the price for it. So hopefully the guys driving tonight will be a little bit more on the ball than I was. Now, I just want to take a look at the track map very quickly. We are a relatively short course of just over 3.5 kilometers. There's 13 corners on this little, I can't say that word, but I'll say a little sucker of a track. But don't be fooled. They are a little bit trickier than you might imagine them to be. Now, we saw last week, in terms of strategy, the two-stop was the way to go, splitting the race relatively evenly. It's a 33-lap race, and splitting it into 11-lap stints seemed to be the way to go with, I think, pretty much every driver, bar a few did that. Some pulled a 12-lap stint. How they managed that, I don't know, because the front tyres on my car were absolutely screaming after about 9 laps.
Yes, I'm guilty of doing a 12-lap stint myself last week and paid the price. It wasn't thought out well.
Hey, it's worth a crack. It's worth a crack. You never know unless you have a go.
That's what they say.
Yeah. And while we're here, we will also take a look at the individual driver points. So here in Division 2, if I can actually get myself a better look at these, you guys can probably see them a lot better than I can at the moment.
Have we only got 9 runners tonight?
That's a very good question. I was hoping you might be able to answer that for me. So, sitting at the top of
Morgan Davies here now.
Sitting at the top of Division 2, we have Karen Unleashed. He's just on the cusp of Division 1. I think he will be rather happy to be racing in Division 2 tonight. Unable to make the grid tonight in second place is Levin Spiel, running as a privateer. Bit sad that he couldn't see out the season on a bit of a high note. Unfortunately, Diswood for CP Motorsports is unable to make the race tonight due to some conflicting work arrangement. Obviously, being a race car driver doesn't pay all the bills, unfortunately, so he's had to, even driving for CP Motorsports, so he's had to do some work elsewhere. Maybe CP need to up their driver payment rates. But also here tonight we have for Doghouse, we have Gurr, and we'll have one of the privateers in Heafy. Now, keep an eye on those two because Heafy is running a Braun GP inspired livery, which in some of the earlier test starts was running side by side with the Doghouse car. And please forgive me if I mix those two up tonight because they're like the Hoon Corp and the Black Rose racing cars. A quick glance and you will mix them up. Speaking of Hoon Corp, we have Hodes tonight, and filling in for Blind Man, we have Freelix from Division 3. I have my fingers crossed for him tonight that he can not have one of his very infamous, how are we going to put this, pirouettes on track. Hopefully he can keep it pointed in the right direction on the straight and narrow tonight. For Dadson Racing, we have Scooter McGavin coming back to Sector 1 after a bit of a hiatus. He's had a bit of an up and down season, but it's good to see him here on the grid. We've then got the TO for Kraken Esports, Mr. Bumcrack himself. We've got Thunder Artsy for Symmetry Motorsports, Mr. Boy Bagum, who I think we might have to change his name to Man Bagum now that he has officially hit the big 1-8 in years of age, but doesn't quite have the same ring to it, I don't think. And rounding out the grid tonight, we have the Racing Accountant, aka the Taxman.
We have a small issue.
We do have a small issue. Okay.
Still can't get in.
Rightio. So I'm thinking we might just have to cut to a little bit of a slideshow, and we're going to have to bring our backup race director into the fray, I think.
I'll message him on
So,
the lobby.
ladies and gentlemen, please stick with us. We're just going to be solving these slight technical issues, you know how it goes, and we will be back with you very shortly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my apologies for such an extended delay. We've had a little bit of technical difficulties with the timing gear here in the comms box. The stopwatches did not want to play ball, and also a couple of the HD cameras decided to just, well, basically pack up and stop working. So it would have been a very not thrilling broadcast for you all watching. Well, less thrilling than it has been for the last few minutes. Again, my apologies. With no visuals on it, it would not be that great to watch. So we have now corrected those issues, and we are just getting the drivers lined up in pit lane, ready to begin qualifying for you all. How are we looking there, Renegade? All the drivers good to go?
Apparently still waiting on accountant at this point.
Roger that. Okay, so we've still got one driver to get himself into pit lane, which is a bit of a shame. I was kind of hoping we would just be able to kick off, because there are only so many minutes that people at home can sit here and listen to me waffle on. So I'm going to wander over to the YouTube chat and see how much they have been chatting away. Yes, they have been. Good evening, Captain Muffin. Good to see you again. Mr. Revs, nice to see you too. We'll be catching up with you a little bit later this evening. Nemesis, howdy howdy. Rainbow Socks, how you doing, young fella? Good to see you tuning in again. Mr. Bumcrack is also saying hello, even though he's currently sitting in pit lane. That's pretty ambitious. Mr. Killer on the Loose says g'day. He must be still over here on the big island of Australia. He was out at Phillip Island this weekend, helping out Pruski at the Formula V championship round out there this weekend. That would have been fairly moist from the weather that we've been having here in Victoria lately. It was, yeah, not exactly dry, so that would have been entertaining. Good evening to Mr. Kevza Johnson. Tombo, good to see you, mate. Mr. Niff says g'day. Who else we got? Excel decided to say something and then retracted that. That's probably for the best, let's be honest. Good evening, Mr. Debrev. GTR, hello, hello. Hope you're putting in the practice laps, because we've got big expectations for you tonight, mate. Hashtag no pressure. Nismo Nath, how we doing? Mr. Hooncorp himself, good of him to drop into the chat, say g'day. Mr. Sean O'Sullivan, how's it going? He's obviously a Brocky05 fan. Mr. Lenosis himself drops in as well. You should be cutting practice laps as well, mate. Also have big expectations for you, considering there is a position in the team's championship points on the line tonight. That is all. Yes, Mr. Excel, I too would like some cake. That would be fantastic, but thankfully I managed to have a fairly sizable dinner before the race tonight, so I think it was probably best that I don't eat anything more.
I've just informed Karen that we'll give, who was it, accountant about 3 to 4 minutes to get in the lobby. If he's not in, unfortunately, we'll have to get it going. We have a time schedule we've got to keep ourselves, so try and keep.
Speaking of the points, I think it might be best if we take a quick look at the team's points situation, which is actually, if I can find it, because I'm really good with these things.
I've done it the fair way. I've told Karen that we'll give him 3 or 4 minutes
to join, otherwise he'll unfortunately start from rear of grid. I believe that was the correct thing to do.
Alright, so in terms of the team points, top of the table is Brocky05 Sim Racing up there on 696 points. In second place is my boys at APR Motorsport. We are 98 points adrift, so mathematically speaking, reaching the top step, not going to happen. Even if the two Brocky05 guys fail to finish tonight, that's not going to happen, unfortunately. So It's fairly safe to say that Brocky05, in their inaugural season, have wrapped up the team's points championship. Still mathematically in a chance to snag the second spot on the ladder is Black Rose Racing. A little bit further adrift is Dadson on 540 points, just nipping at their heels, and well, they've certainly got potential to take over the fourth spot on the ladder tonight is Lightning Motorsport. A little bit further behind, sitting in a solid 6th place, is Blacklight Motorsports. Equal on points is Hooncorp. So it'll be good to keep an eye on the Blacklight and Hooncorp drivers tonight, because well, it'll be a fair stoush as to who can finish higher in the point standings. And only 4 points adrift of the two of those is Doghouse, so that's very quickly become a 3-way battle for 6th place on the team's point standings. And we've got Kraken Esports on 464, CP Motorsports on 438, Symmetry Motorsports on 406, and languishing back down the bottom is a Switchblade Sim Sports. Now, it is worth mentioning tonight that Karen, the team owner for Switchblade Sim Sports, has decided to hang up the GT7 racing boots. Tonight will be his last race in Sector 1. I do believe he has been around since the inception of Sector 1 from the very early days, so it's a little bit sad to have him hanging up the helmet here. But he will be staying on as the team owner for Switchblade Sim Sports. So be keen to see. I will be keen to see what kind of drivers he brings in to replace him. Now, I just have been informed that qualifying has just started, so let's get ourselves over there and have a look, because, well, we've had a bit of a delay, let's be honest, but that's okay. Now, let's get into it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for bearing with us on that. It is not the best, but, you know, we do the best we can here. So, first out on track is Heafy in the Brawn GP Privateer livery. Sitting just behind him. They've just come out, so they're out on their out lap, so I've got plenty of time to run through these guys. Is Scooter McGavin for Dadson Racing. For Symmetry Motorsports is Artsy. I'm going to skip the Thunder part because it's just too much of a mouthful for me. We've got to give him a little bit of camera time in the... Well, I don't know what the team was. I know it was a Holden Monaro that raced at Bathurst. I'm going to get people screaming at me in the YouTube chat and telling me I'm a motorsport dunce and I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I can say that I'm already well ahead of you in that regard. I don't know my motorsport history.
And the cars have New South Wales license plates on them as well.
Oh dear. Do I want to know what the license plate... Has he gone for the custom plates?
Got XO 100 on Karen's car, and it's the same plate on Morgan Davies' car.
5th position on track in the Doghouse Motorsports is Gurr. I've been keeping an eye on him in some of the earlier practice sessions today, and he is looking very solid. He's not... I wouldn't say he's lighting up the timesheets, as he finds a little bit of the gravel there on the corner. He manages to keep the car in shape. Another puff of dirt. He's definitely using all the track, and he's more than likely using that slipstream from Karen in front of him as well. So he's but as I was saying, he's not lighting up the timesheets in terms of raw pace, but his consistency has been amazing. I've seen him drop laps within a 1/10 of each other for like 5 laps in a row. So as the first lap goes around, we've got the other Switchblade Sim Sports driver, Morgan Davies, dropping a 119.1 on his first flyer, which is genuinely impressive. He is looking very quick tonight. I believe he will be sticking around with Switchblade for next season, yet to be confirmed, but as he goes very sideways through turn 4 there. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, yep, that's definitely turn 4. I don't have corner. I don't have corner names here tonight, so I'm just going to go with numbers. And let's be honest, numbers are not my strong suit, so I may still get them mixed up as well. Now, as I was looking through the grid, did we manage to get the taxman through here tonight?
I don't believe so. We still only have 9 runners, so
that is
who manages to jump in before qualifying finishes.
Yeah, we will be able to get him. We will be able to get him to start from the back of the grid.
He'll still get to have a race, but
Scooter's pulled the pin.
The clock is ticking.
He's got his banker in. He's gone into the pits for a new set of tyres, as has Gur and Artsy as well. Just riding here with Karen at the moment. He's coming through. Well, let's jump on board with him. Why not? Let's give him a little bit of TV time in his final Sector 1 race. Coming into turn 4, tucks it into the apex nicely. Very smooth on the power here because that little crest of a hill will catch you out. Turn 5, got to be cautious getting on the power because, again, if you run wide, that grass will spit you to that right-hand wall with terminal velocity. Ask me how I know.
Change view button one more time. There's a really nice.
He's done that section beautifully, nice and smooth. That's where you just get hard on the power, pick your braking point, try not to wash off too much speed for this final chicane. Clips the edge, but we're not going to see a hot lap from him. He's decided, I'm going to pull into the pits. Fair enough indeed. So we've got Thunder RC for Symmetry, currently sitting in the pits. Currently sitting in P2. He's run a 1 minute 19.5, so he's a few tenths back from Morgan Davies, who's also come into the pits for a fresh set of tyres. Karen's currently sitting P3, so I think he'll be very happy with that. Gur, P4, looking very, very solid indeed.
Felix in for a new set of tyres.
Boy Bagum sitting P5. As he comes through, where is he now? That's into turn 8. The uphill right-hander. It's a very tricky corner. Got to be careful with how much you run wide on exit. Otherwise, he's found the gravel into turn 10. It's a beautiful example of car control right there. He's managed to keep it pointed the right way, but that will cost him. Don't think he's going to improve on his current P5 position on this lap, as he's using all of the track and then some through that final chicane. He's decided to say, nope, bugger that, I'm coming in for a fresh set of tyres. Scooter coming down the main straight now, he's in P6. Can he improve? He's looking good. Bang, goes to P2 with a 1 minute 19.157. But Morgan Davies has improved. And Gur to the top of the table. Absolutely drops the hammer with a 118.967. That is the first lap, I believe, in the 118s tonight. Morgan Davies is right behind him on track.
We're also missing Hodes as well, the other Hooncorp driver.
Oh dear. Not going well for Hooncorp in the final round. Or Morgan, he's only a couple of hundreds down through the first sector. We'll give the other Switchblade car a little bit of TV time, see if he can improve into the second sector. There we go. Shizer has chimed into the YouTube chat. The Switchblade livery is a replica of the 1969 Holden dealer team from the Monaro at Bathurst. Thank you very much for that little tidbit, Shizer. Morgan Davies onto the main straight.
Oh, and Felix unfortunately
Can he improve on his P3?
Spin.
I don't think he will. Oh, he does. He goes pole. Oh, hey, that's another example of a driver giving me the absolute finger and drops a 118.827.
I won't mention names,
very,
but
very
I did
rapid.
see quick times pop up in practice.
Oh, Scooter. He's 2/10 purple through the first sector on this lap. It's like I think Gurr and Morgan have waved a red flag to a bull here. He's fired up and ready to just drop the hammer on this lap.
Morgan Davies on a flyer, 3/10 purple in that last sector.
Scooter, he's lost a little time in the second sector, but he's still purple. Comes around turn 11. Into the final chicane. If you can hold a good line through here and absolutely just mash the throttle through the firewall down the straight, we may see a new pole time. He'll get one more lap after this. Can he do it? 118.847. So he puts himself up into P2, but he's still... Oh, he missed out on it by 0.02 of a second.
Morgan Davies just misses out by a 10th.
Boy Bagum, he's put himself up into P4. But
Go wide.
Has crossed the line a little bit too late. He won't get another flyer. Heafy's also crossed the line, P6. Karen's down P7.
Morgan
Plummer,
Davies up
P8.
3/10 in the first sector.
Felix on his final lap. He's on the main straight. Can he improve from P9? He looks like, from his lap times, it looks like he's really been struggling here tonight. Goes with a 122.8, so definitely not his best work. So Scooter, what can he produce? He's coming into the final chicane now. Can he knock Morgan off pole position? Or is he going
Morgan
to
Davies
be,
up by 1/10.
or is he going to be sharing the front row in the lesser position? He will be P2. Morgan Davies onto the main straight. Can he rub a little bit of salt into the wound? He does with a
118.7.
Wow. Well, there we go. That is qualifying, a run, and done. Tell you what, there was a bit of a slow burn, that qualifying session. Started off relatively quiet, but towards the end there, that really fired up. The good doc in the chat. I do concur. Morgan has not exactly got the reputation as the fastest qualifier in the world. His performance usually stems from his race performance. But maybe he's trying something different this round. Who knows? Maybe he wants to...
send out the season with a bang.
Maybe he wants to put on a special performance for his TO's last race here in Sector 1 tonight. Who knows? But let's take a quick squiz over the qualifying results, and my emphasis is on quick because as soon as we've gone through these, let's kick off the race. Okay, so we will be going over the qualifying results. On the front row of the grid and in pole position with a 118.781 is Morgan Davies. Joining him on the front row is a Scooter, only a mere 0.06 of a second behind. Third row of the grid is locked out with Gur and Artsy. That's the second row, my bad. Third row is Boy Bagoom and Heafy. Fourth row of the grid is Karen and Mr. Bumcrack. And bringing up the final position on the grid tonight is Felix for Ucore. So I'm actually genuinely surprised by how rapid those times were tonight. Like, I was sort of expecting in the realms of the low 19s, but a couple of the guys dropping into the 18s is always nice to see.
I've mentioned to Karen 1 minute.
Rightio, and I've just had word from our race director team tonight that our race will be underway very, very shortly. So all of you in the YouTube chat, I'd like you to drop in your top 3 tonight, your podium places tonight, no particular order. Fire them at me. What do you think? Is Morgan going to hold on for the win? Scooter going to be able to bring it back with some strategic and or rapid driving? Let me know. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have the cars lining up on the grid for you as we speak. So, sit back, buckle up, strap yourselves in. Hope you've got your drinks. Hope you got your snacks. This is set to be an absolute cracker. Alright, lights are up. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And they are underway. Looks like all of the drivers on the grid get an absolute brilliant start. We've got Gurr absolutely launching it off the line. He's got a blinder of a start, but he unfortunately has nowhere to go, with Scooter taking the lead into turn 1. Oh, it's a little bit bumpy and grindy. There's a car off track that looks to be Heafy. But everyone...
Oh, we have a car around. Heafy's around.
Oh, Heafy's had a big one.
Not sure who was the cause of it. It looked like there was a little bump and grind there, but I'm not sure by who.
Scooter's out in front. Morgan Davies sitting in the tow. Will he be doing something very unswitchblade-like and saving fuel? Or, well,
that one might be...
let's be honest, Morgan has never really been the one to sit behind someone. He likes to lead from the front. So it's probably fair to say he will be looking to try and get past Scooter as quickly as possible. He definitely won't be happy about that, losing the spot off the start. But, you know, what can you do? Gurr in P3. He's got a little bit of space to the top 2. They look like they might just be skipping off. He's also got a little bit of a gap back to Karen in P4. Artsy in P5. He's got Freelix. Freelix has started from 9th. He's up to 6th on the first lap. As he's looking to go around the
5th.
He's looking to go around the outside at turn 1 and makes it stick. Oh my lord. That was
what a move.
Artsy's got him, wants to look down the back of the inside at turn 4. Plenty of room being given. They're still side by side.
Boy Begum lurking in the back there. These guys.
Yeah, Boy Begum definitely there to pick up the pieces, but so far, that was brilliant, and so brilliant, I genuinely forgot to punch the replay button, so we unfortunately won't be able to see that again, but wow, round the outside of turn 1, that was brilliant. Who else have we got here in this little 4-car battle pack? It's Freelix, Artsy, Boy Begum, and the Plumber. A little bit further back, he's picked himself back up, is Heafy. He's 7 and a bit seconds off the back of them. Bit of a shame, but we'll keep an eye on that gap, see if he can make some headway back into it. Jumping back up the front, got Scooter. He's got about half a second back to Morgan. And there is a large amount of space between these two and the next two in the form of Gurr and Karen. Karen's knocking on the rear bumper of Gurr now. Will he be looking to make a move? Turn 5's probably not the place to make it.
Karen sitting in the toe of the banker.
The banker?
Grr. Shows up on my screen as the banker. That would be grr.
So down the main straight, Karen's just sitting in the slipstream. I kind of had the feeling as he looks around the outside, he wants to do a free licks at turn 1. That's ambitious. Both drivers, plenty of space. Still side by side. Gur's still got the advantage. No. Oh, Karen dives to the inside for turn 4. Goes deep under brakes. Parks it on the apex, makes the move stick. Now, if I can actually hit the button this time, and I reckon I should be able to get that on our Liquid Solutions action replay. It's a beautiful feint right to the inside. He did well to not outbrake himself and go way too deep, allowing Gur to get the switch back on him there. So, all credit to him, Carrot. That was a beautiful move. Take another look out the front. Scooter 82, he's put a little bit more of space between him and Morgan. He's got that lead out to 6/10, but Morgan's hanging in there with him. We'll take a look at fuel and tyres in another lap or two so we can see how they're comparing to each other there. Got Artsy in P5. He's a little bit behind the Karen and Gur battle. He's got a little bit of space back to free licks. He's made his way back past free licks by the looks of it. So he's run a 1:20.0 on the last lap. Free licks ran a 1:21.1, so he may have had a little bit of a sketchy moment, I think, and just dropped the position, but hasn't had a super sketchy moment and lost a lot of ground. Mr. Bumcrack, P7, he's made his way past Boy Bagum. He's got a little bit of a gap back to him as well, so that 4-car battle pack has broke that. Oh, as Artsy's had a massive off. He has had an absolute tank slapper. And let's see if we can catch that on our Liquid Solutions action replay. As he comes into that uphill right-hander, which is an absolute dog of a corner, and he's just gotten on the power on the blue stuff and has... Oh, the rear quarter on that Symmetry Motorsports car is not looking particularly in shape anymore.
Healthy.
That was a big hit, unfortunately, but he's managed to collect himself. He's back out on track, down in P8. Heafy's 9.5 seconds back to him, unfortunately, so he's having a bit of a horror run, but he's setting some quick laps in the 1:19s. Checking back in with Karen. He's managed to put a little bit of a gap between himself and Gur, nearly a second.
Morgan's sitting right on Scooter's tailpipe. He could be on for a move at turn 1.
Oh, definitely. They're coming onto the main straight. He will have slipstream. Is he going to be close enough to make a move?
He's dropped a couple of tenths from where he was. He was about 2 tenths going up onto the main straight and dropped out to half a second, so he's losing out a little bit.
Do you think he could be fuel saving? Actually, on that note, let's go to an APR Motorsport tyre and fuel update. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll start off with Scooter up the front. His front right's looking at about 50%, same with the right-hand rear, almost getting to that point. Fuel's a little bit over half a tank. Dropping back to Morgan in second place. Tyres are a little bit worn, I'd say about 55% on the front right, 50% on the right rear.
Who has the better tyres out of Scooter and Morgan?
That would definitely be Scooter. Not by much, but...
Has he also got more fuel?
Yes, just marginally.
Roger, roger.
If anything, I'd probably have to say probably about 2 or 3%. So there's not much in it.
Rightio.
Dropping back to Karen in third place. He's looking good on his tyres, about 50%. Got about the same amount of fuel as Scooter. They're running pretty much on par, those two. Fourth place, Gurr. He's sitting pretty much the same as Karen up in third. His tyres and fuel they're looking pretty much the same. Dropping back down into fifth place now is Felix. Running well, starting from ninth. His tyres are looking almost at the 50% mark on the rear, probably about 50 on the front. Fuel again is on par with Gurr and Karen. They're running similar amount of fuel left. Bum crack in the plumber in sixth place. These front and rear tyres are about 50% on the right. Fuel just a fraction under the 50% mark, so he's used a little bit more. Boy Gum in seventh. I believe it's for Black Rose, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, that is correct. See what I mean by easily confused with the Hooncorp cars?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's easy to do. And he's got Artsy right on his rear bumper as well, so...
His front right's looking a little bit how you're going. It's over 50, I'd say about 55%. Right hand rear's at 50 as well. Lefts on all these cars are looking obviously a lot better. Mainly being left-hand turns on this, so it's
sorry to interrupt. We've just got a move coming on here into turn one. Thunder Artsy manages to get it done into the braking zone.
Well, speaking of that, we'll jump up to seventh place now for Artsy as we're on Boybagum. His fuel's at 50%. Front right's at about 55 to 60% worn, 50 on the rear. So he's still looking good on fuel at this stage. We just did Boybagum. Down in ninth. Heafy, his tyres are well and truly at least over the 55 to 60% mark. Fuel's a little bit under half a tank.
And thank you very much for that tyre and fuel update, Renegade. That was beautiful. Now, just going to take a look at Artsy, who seems to be providing us with most of the replays tonight. Just going to have a look at that move going into turn one again. We didn't quite get the best look at it in the tyre and fuel update, but yep, gets it done. Round the outside, into the braking zone. Textbook manoeuvre, clean as a whistle. Love to see it.
Especially this late into the stint too, when the tyres are getting as worn as what they are. I would have expected a move like that in the first 3 or 4 laps, to be honest.
Oh, it definitely gets trickier to pull something like that off as clean as he did later in the stint, as we're on lap 10 now.
We'll be preparing for these pit stops very shortly.
So up the front of the field, Scooter's managed to drop Morgan Davies back to the tune of 1.2 seconds. So he's got himself a little bit of a buffer there.
His front right tyre is cactus. It is screaming at him to change me.
I might have to wait another lap, I'm thinking. Morgan's got an even bigger gap to the tune of 6.2 seconds back to his TO, Karen. A little bit more TV time. He's got a healthy gap as well, 2.7 seconds back to Gurr.
pulling the pin. Dave Morgan is pulling the pin. He's pitting.
Alright, that's going to help him now, but it's going to come back to hurt him a little bit later because he will have to pull the longest stint.
He's going to have to do at least a 12 or 13 lap stint in there somewhere.
And Gurr goes around again. Now, while there is that 2 and a bit second gap to Karen, I would like to keep an eye on the fuel numbers between Gurr and Karen going into the pits, because I have the feeling that Gurr's running a fuel save and might just be able to get right back on the back of Karen after they exit the pits. So it's something I will definitely keep an eye out for. A little bit more TV time for the fill-in driver for Hooncorp tonight, Felix. He's doing fantastic. And as I say that, I've done the commentator's curse. Oh no. He's had a massive moment at turn 5.
The compounded, he's now got damage in the rear.
I am so sorry, Felix, but we will take a look at that on our action replay just to see where it all went wrong. So he's come into turn 5, beautiful line, right onto the apex, but just gets on the power a little bit too hard, a bit too squirmy, and just front on into the wall. And
Scooter and Karen and Gurr all in the pits.
Once you are around, it is very difficult to get yourself back out of there. So that is a bit of a shame to see. So our front runners all in the pits. How are the fuel numbers between Karen and Gurr? How was that sitting?
Well, pretty much as I mentioned when we did the, that was sitting right on pretty much 50-50.
So fairly equal?
Very much equal, yes.
Well, hello, we've got a Heafy up in 3rd position at the moment. Has he gone around for a 12th lap, has he?
I believe so. Oh, he has too.
How are his front tyres looking?
Very much. Probably got about 10% left on the front and the rear.
Okay, so
I would assume he would be, yeah, so he's got a P next to 4 of his laps, 7, 8, 9.
So he's done a lot better on his tyres than what I was thinking he has. So he's got the ability to do this 12th lap relatively comfortably. That's not bad. That's actually quite impressive. I'm keen to see how this will work out for him, because if he can... I mean, his lap times have been looking fairly consistent. There's a little bit of drop-off, as you would expect, with the degradation of the tyre and the amount of grip you have.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But he's still running respectable, so by taking a little bit of pain here, and he's going around again. Okay, this is bold. I like this. He's going around on lap 13.
And his tyres are almost toast.
What did he drop on that last one? He dropped a 122.9 on lap 11, and then a 123.4 on lap 12. Okay, this could either really help him in the later stages of the race, being able to run shorter stints, and therefore
Karen closing in.
Therefore, just go hammer and tonk for shorter stints and not have to worry about the tyre drop off as much. Or it could really burn him on this lap, because he has, as you said, he's got Karen barreling down on him at a rapid rate of knots.
Less than a second now.
But the gap between Karen and Gurr has come down to just over a second, so Gurr definitely had an advantage in that pit stop. Not sure. Karen takes P3 off Heafy. I think Heafy just got out of the way there. He knew what was going on.
He knew he wasn't going to be able to compete, and Gurr makes it around as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful awareness from Heafy. He knows that he's on a different strategy to these guys. Now's not the time to fight. As he does come into the pits. Rightio. I think those front tyres are very grateful that he's done that.
Oh, there's absolutely nothing left.
So this will sort out our...
tiny sliver of white on the right and rear.
This will sort out our grid order back to as it should be. Artsy, P5. He's He's got 4 and a bit seconds in front and in behind him to the drivers around him, so he's in a bit of no man's land. Mr. Bumcrack,
big gap between
P6 has Boy Bagum for company, just half a second behind.
Oh, took on not quite 3/4 of a tank. Is Heafy, so he's...
Well, he's only got the shorter stints to run. He's only got 2 10-lap stints to go, so he can afford to take a little bit less fuel. Now, I think by my math, depending on where you're shifting, etc., but I think 75% should be enough, as Bumcrack's picked up a half-second track penalty, being a little bit of a naughty boy. So that will basically hand P6 to Boy Bagum. But the plumber's still going to make him work for it. He's not just going to give it up to him unless he absolutely has to when he serves that penalty. Which, from memory, the penalty burn zone is on the front straight.
Doesn't help your overall lap time for the preceding or for the following lap.
No, it kills 2 laps for you, unfortunately. But so that half a second penalty is probably going to turn into more like 2.5 seconds of lap time by the time you get back up to speed.
I do remember in one of the earlier races too, someone taking full advantage, and it worked for them as well, of when they had the penalty because of the, I believe it was it Trial Mountain? In the Division 4 race, one of the drivers there copped a penalty and then went into the pits, and because you're at the slower speed anyway, when he exited the pits, he served his penalty and was able to carry out at full pace after that.
Well, you know what? That's actually a very strategic move. Not gonna lie. I mean, if that was his plan to pit on that lap anyway, perfect. If he modified his strategy on the fly to pit on that lap, credit to him. But you are testing my memory if you are thinking I will remember that, because I could barely remember what I did 3 weeks ago, let alone 6 rounds ago.
So just when you mentioned the...
Just checking in back up the front of the grid there, Scooter has absolutely blown out the gap back to Morgan to the tune of 4, nearly 5 seconds. So the Dadson driver is clearly not here to muck about. Morgan a little bit sketchy out of the corners. Karen's managed to drop a little bit more time on Gur, but as we saw from that previous pit stop, Gur is able to make up time.
He's also carrying a lot less fuel than Karen at the moment.
So Gur short-fueled a little, so that was how he was able to make up that time. Okay, that checks out, that makes sense. P5, Artsy's travelling well, but he does look like he's actually making up time on Gur as well. It's... What are we looking at the moment? We're looking at let's just call it 3 seconds for the sake of easy conversation. Just under 3 seconds at the moment. Definitely keep an eye on that gap, because I recall it was more than that just a couple of laps ago. So he looks like he's making up some ground. He might be able to take P4 away from Gur tonight.
At the halfway point of the race, Karen is actually sitting the best on fuel at this point. He may be able to...
Sorry, can you just repeat that for me?
At the halfway point of the race, Karen appears to be the best on fuel.
Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it. The team owner of Switchblade Sim Sports, aka Deeds Racing, is currently the best on fuel on track at this point. Wow, that's...
At this point, he may only need tyres for his final pit stop. Which...
Ooh, I don't know about that. That would be brave. That would be brave.
I'll keep an eye on that.
You're using about 3/4 of a tank of fuel per stint, so For him to have a full tank and do 22 laps, that's... Yeah, keep an eye on that one. Boybagum in P6, he's, after getting nice little handball due to the plumber's penalty, he's run his fastest lap on that one as well with a low 119. He's managed to drop a few more seconds to Mr. Bumcrack. He's very solidly placed himself in P6. He's got 7 and a bit seconds to Artsy in front of him. So he's got a fair chunk of work to do, but in 16 laps, that's not unheard of with a pit stop. He can certainly make up some ground. A little bit of TV time for the plumber in the Big Rocks Brewing livery. Very, very distinctive car. You certainly cannot confuse that with any other. Freelix, P8. After that earlier off-track incident, small consolation he might be able to take from that is he will have another addition to the montage he was talking about in the pit lane earlier today, or earlier this weekend. Was thinking about making a montage of his off-track excursions this season. Not sure he's been entirely happy about most of them, but it's good to see he's able to have a sense of humour and have a bit of a laugh about it, which is good. Heafy tonight, P9. Probably not having his strongest race, but still choosing to keep his head down and see out the season. He's actually making up some ground on Freelix, so might not have such a lonely drive tonight. Back up to P1. Scooter's cranked out that gap to over 5 seconds. So, pending any disasters, he may just be looking good for a win tonight, and that's all I'm going to say before I put the Mozzer on him. I've already done it to Freelix. I don't want to do it to another driver tonight. That would not be ideal. But Morgan Davies looking very solid in P2. What do you say we take another look at? What do you say we take another look at tyre and fuel on lap 19/20?
Okay. Well, something must have happened to. Oh no, he's looking good. But anyway, here we go. So Scooter up in first place. Tyres a little over 50% worn. Fuel's just a fraction under a quarter of a tank to go. Second place, Morgan Davey. His tyres, let's just say they could be saying change me please, his front right. Got just over a quarter of a tank. Say there's about 70% worn on the rear. Karen in third. Looking still really good on fuel. About halfway between a quarter and half left, so just over a third left. Front tyres about 60%. Rear is just over 50. Go closing in the gap is now under 3 seconds behind. Tyres roughly the same as Karen. Fuel's a lot less. He's running just under a quarter of a tank of fuel left as well. So again, Karen's still looking the best as we say that. Morgan Davey goes into the pits now.
I'm wondering if Morgan might be running an alternative strategy.
Quite possibly, who knows?
So he's going to have to, by my math, he's going to have to do a 13-lap stint to finish off the race.
Unless he plans on doing another 10-lap stint and finishing with a 3, but we'll see what happens.
That's bold. That's bold, but
that
anyway.
Would be. So promoting now Artsy up into 4th place. His tyres would be about 65-70% worn on the front, about 60 on the rear. A little bit less than a quarter of a tank. Boybagum now into 5th. He's got just shy of a quarter of a tank of fuel. Front and rear tyres are roughly about 55-60% worn. the plumber, who's picked up a half-second penalty somewhere, just as we come onto him. Again, it's pretty much the same level of fuel as Artsy. Probably got about, if I had to hazard a guess, probably about 20% left. Front right's at about 70%, and the right-hand rear is about 65% worn. This is about to serve his penalty.
Now we'll skip past Morgan because we know his tyres and fuel will be pretty good because he has just pitted.
Yeah.
So on to Free Leaks.
New tyres, and he's got his fuel light flashing, so he'll be in on the next lap or two.
Oh, he's going around again. He's hanging the finger out the window at us as he drives past. He's going around another.
He's trying to prove us wrong there.
And on the alternative
he's still
strat.
looking good on his tyres too. He's still got about 70% on the, or about 30% left to go on the front.
Now remember, he did run a 13-lap first stint, so he won't be due for another pit stop till the end of the next lap, I think, at the earliest, possibly later, depending on what he's planning on doing.
Yeah, Heafy's got about 60% worn on each front and rear, just under a quarter of a tank, so he's good to go for a few laps. And as we say, that scooter's now into the pits.
Beautiful. And that is our second tyre and fuel update, brought to you by APR Automotive. Thank you very much, Renegade. So,
my pleasure.
The three front runners actually, all into the pits. Karen had a big fuel advantage over Gur, but he did fill up more in the pit stop. I think Gur did a short fuel on that first pit stop, so that may explain that 13 litres disadvantage. Just keep an eye. Morgan Davies coming down the main straight now. Cross the line. Pops out in front of his TO. But that gap between the two Switchblade drivers has come down. We may
almost 5 seconds.
Might even see a grandstand finish from the two Switchblade drivers tonight. Be an excellent photo opportunity, but both drivers
with the same amount of fuel, but
both drivers will have to hang on to their on-track positions. And if Morgan keeps driving like he did around turn 4 and now turn 5, getting very, very slidey, they may not maintain their positions.
Look out for Karen to venture down pit lane soon. His tyres are not looking very good in the front. He might have forgotten to change tyres on his pit stop.
Wait, so he pitted and took fuel, but has not changed tyres?
His front tyres look very bad, but he has 3/4 of a tank of fuel.
Rightio, so he's done a Goaty at Suzuka, gone into the pits and forgot to change the tyres. Right, or could this be a deliberate manoeuvre? Well, he's just coming through the last chicane now, so we'll keep an eye on him. And keep an ear out for the amount of swearing that will be coming out from the Switchblade race car at this point as he pulls into the pits. Oh dear, that I think that might have just cost him that podium position and that photo finish, as both Gur and Artie go absolutely screaming down the main straight past him.
I would hate to be his race director sitting in the sheds right now.
Oh yeah.
Having to be on the other end of that.
Right, the tyres are on. Boy Bagum is absolutely bearing down on him and goes flying past.
Takes him.
Bang! So one mistake has dropped Karen from 3rd down to 6th. And I can tell you this from experience, Boy Bagum is quite quick and he's not the easiest person to overtake either. He's very good at just putting the car right in exactly where you want to be. So Karen will be very hot-headed right now. There will be a lot of swearing coming from under that helmet, and he's going to find himself in a position where he's maybe not able to climb back up the grid as fast as he would like to. So that is a rather...
He's in the fortunate position though to at least be right on the bumper, but to be in Boy Bagum's slipstream going onto the main straight, so hopefully he can stick with that, especially on fresh rubber.
You're right, there's a little bit of Morse code going on between the front bumper of Karen's car and the back of the Hooncourt car. nothing malicious, just a little tap tap. Hey, I'm here. Hurry up, please.
I believe, did you say Hooncorp?
I did, didn't I? Dear Black Rose and Hooncorp team owners, I am sorry again. Right, as they are side by side down the main straight, will Karen send it around the outside as Boy Bagoom goes defensive? He does. Boy Bagoom gets an excellent drive out of the corner. Holds the inside.
Can he hold it?
Into turn 4. We saw Karen do
He's done it too, right around the outside.
We saw Karen do a beautiful cut down the inside earlier in this race, but doesn't need to this time. Gets it done. Boy Bagoom, if he's smart, and I think he is, he will just try and tag along in this slipstream and see if he can get himself a bit up the order. But there is 12 and a bit seconds up the road to Gurr in P4, who is within half a second of the bumper of Artsy, who's done a pretty commendable job tonight. Currently sitting in P3. I reckon he'll be pretty happy with that. But he's still going to hang on to it for another 8 laps. And Gurr is the kind of driver that will just sit in your mirrors and he'll let you know he's there, and there'll just be that very subtle pressure that you feel when you know that there's a driver within a second of you. You can't make any mistakes, and that's when the errors do start to creep in when you're thinking about that rather than actually driving the car. Or that could just be me.
Artsy. He's got slightly less fuel than Morgan, Davey, but his tyres are a lot better.
How's the fuel situation between Artsy and Gurr? Who's got the advantage there?
A slot in terms of how much, like more or less.
Well, who's got more fuel?
That would be Gurr probably by about 2 or 3%, if that.
Alright, so there's pretty much
nothing in it.
Right, so both drivers are just going to be going hammer and tong till the end. Roger that.
Pretty much.
Alright, speaking of going hammer and tong till the end, I'm going to check back in with Heafy, see how he's travelling. So we've still got 12 seconds up to Freelix, so maybe the alternative strat isn't going to work out for him, but after that earlier off-track excursion, he pretty much had nothing to lose, so why not send it?
Too, unless Freelix makes a mistake, or touch wood that he doesn't, obviously being a fellow Hooncorp driver.
Yeah, well, always Heafy has a massive moment in turn, doing my math here.
Keeps it on the black stuff.
I'm just going to go with turn 7, turn 8. That uphill right-handed bugger. It's an absolute... I can't say that word, it's not 9 o'clock yet. It is a very not nice corner. It's off camber, it's tight, it's bumpy. I'm really just not a fan.
Well, I'll label that series the bent horseshoe.
It can get bent, that's what it can do. I can say
no
that.
Comment.
That's PG-13. Rightio. So Scooter, he's absolutely flying out the front. He's cranked out that gap to 6.5 seconds. Sorry, is that an 8? I genuinely don't know.
6.4, yes.
There we go, 6.4.
Basically.
I need to get a better monitor. There we go, 6.5. Artsy, P3, but he's still got Gurr around that second mark. He's still hanging in there. And after the disastrous pit stop, Karen, P5, he will be fuming over that one.
He's dropped Boybagum from the slip too. Boybagum's unfortunately just outside slipstream range now.
Yeah, but still a very solid P6 for Boybagum in the Black Rose. Got it right that time. In the Black Rose car. It's only taken me 8 rounds, but you know.
Got there in the end. That's what matters.
Mr. Bumcrack in quite possibly a race that could have been. He's had a few penalties, a few moments, but still Still chugging along quite nicely in P7.
Running average lap times around the 20s, 21s.
Very solid race pace indeed. Felix in P8.
Lap times are looking a lot better. Doing consistent mid-range 20s.
He is indeed. He's doing a great job now. Still off the back. Heafy in that beautiful Brawn GP replica.
Looks like he's managed to pull in about a second, but this late in the race I can't see that gap decreasing anytime soon. Not enough to worry Felix at this stage.
No, I have to agree with that.
Scooter pulls that gap out to 8.5 now.
Yep, he is not letting off at all. There's no cruise mode here at Dadson. It is foot to the floor until that checkered flag drops. Although fastest lap of the race,
just going to have to go for it.
Fastest lap of the race at the moment is currently held by Morgan with a 1:18.690, which is very, very impressive race pace, which he dropped that on lap 23.
I missed that one.
But I'm interested to see how Morgan goes in this stint. He's got 4 laps, including this one, to go. How's his tyres looking? Because from memory, he pitted at the end of lap 20.
Well, he's got enough fuel to go, so we'll skip that one.
Yeah, how's his tyres?
Front left, I would say, would be he'd have about 10 to 15% left.
Not
or front right.
Oh, the front right's down to 15%, give or take. Right, so he's got to do 3.5 laps on a fairly well-cooked tyre. Or will he pit?
And that gap back has dropped.
That is the question.
And in saying that, Artsy in that last couple of laps has managed to pull in almost 3 or 4 seconds in on Morgan.
Well, the last 3 laps from Morgan have been a 20.2, a 20.5 and a 21.3, compared to Artsy, who has done a 19.6, a 19.5 and a 20 flat. So Morgan's tyre wear is definitely costing him in terms of lap time, but is it costing him enough to let Artsy up onto the second step on the podium?
As that gap almost now drops to just under 11 seconds now, so he's reeling him in.
And still there or thereabouts is Gurr in P4. He's not letting Artsy get away too much. He's still within 1.5 seconds. So one small slip up and he could find himself on the podium tonight. He's also managed to put another second and a bit back to Karen. That gaps back out to 12.7 seconds. So he's holding on well there. Karen's got a bit more of a buffer now, back to Boybagum to the tune of 3.8. Boybagum's got a very sizable gap back to Bumcrack, 15 seconds. So only 4 seconds between Felix and the plumber. Although with 3 laps to run, not sure if that's going to be much of a danger.
And considering their tyres and fuel again as well are looking pretty much even for both Felix and the plumber.
Scooter definitely has the hammer down. His last 5 laps have been a 19.5, a 19.5, a 19.8, 19.9, and he's only just gone into a 20.2 on that previous lap. So he's
bridged that gap out to almost 13 seconds as well.
Definitely mucky ground. We have a yellow flag. Oh dear, something has gone horribly wrong. Oh, Heafy's getting shown the blue flag. Pulls off to the side of the track. Lets the leader go past.
Heafy, well done.
Very good awareness. Let's see if we can have a look and see what happened to Heafy on our replay. I'm not sure if
does have
caught it
front
or
left
not.
and front splitter damage.
Oh, I'd say he's gotten that little bit loose or a little bit eager on the throttle at turn 5. And that
come
would
out
have,
and
that would have cost him and spat him off the track a little bit, I think. That is unfortunate. It's definitely a race to forget, I think, for him tonight.
and Scooter now out to a 16.5 second lead.
Yeah, Morgan's in trouble here. He's going around again. I get the feeling he's going to see out the race on the tyre he doesn't have left.
He has got nothing left on that right front.
And he's on the final lap, so he ran on the previous lap, he ran a 120, if my maths is correct, he ran a 125.1.
And his previous lap to that was a 22.5.
Compared to Artsy, who is now 3 seconds behind him. We're going to keep an eye on this, because I reckon Artsy might just be able to pit Morgan for second place. Gap's down to 2.2 seconds now. Morgan is absolutely bleeding time. And right behind Artsy is Gurr, so Gurr may just find himself on the podium yet. But back up the front, we'll have to get him coming across the line.
1.9 seconds.
Through the last chicane. Scooter McGavin will take the win for Dadson Racing here in Division 2 tonight. Flashing the lights over the line. He is a very happy camper.
Oh, this is on.
And
this is on for second.
Back to the action. Morgan, he's going to really struggle through this last chicane. Artsy has got him. Has pulled alongside into the little braking zone before the chicane. Gets it done.
Now can Go get it though? No,
I reckon Morgan might be safe here. But Artsy, last lap maneuver, picks up P2. Morgan Davies P3. Gurr P4. Karen in in his last race here in Sector 1 on GT7. He'll be ruining that pit mistake, no flashing of the lights. I think he'll just be happy that's done. P5. Boy Bagum, P6. The plumber, through the last chicane.
Followed by Freelix, who...
Yeah. Freelix has really managed to drop that gap down, but not quite enough. Mr. Bumcrack tapes home P7.
Freelix flashes the lights.
Freelix P8, and our last runner of the night, who has already had the checkered flag shown, is Heafy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our Division 2 race run and done. Woo! That had a bit of everything. So just before I go through the final results again, ladies and gentlemen, please throw your Driver of the Day nominations into the chat so we can have a little bit of a look at those very shortly. But we will take a look at the race results. If I can actually get my technology correct, which I've always struggled with. Rightio, so for the race win tonight for Dadson Racing, we have Scooter and P2 Thunder Artsy, P3 with the fastest lap Morgan Davies, P4 Gurr, P5 Karen, P6 Boy Bagum, P7 Mr. Bumcrack, P8 Freelix, and rounding out our race tonight, P9 Heafy. So that race, wow, that threw a little bit of everything at us. There was fantastic overtake maneuvers, there were off-track excursions, there was strategy calls made that were interesting and disastrous at the same time. So before we kick into our YouTube chat nominations, Renegade, who are you thinking for Driver of the Day?
That's a hard one to say. I mean, there was, as you mentioned, there was action all around. There was good passes, clean racing. Yeah, like...
Come on, throw out a name. Come on, don't leave us hanging.
I have to say Scooter with some of the, yeah. I think I'd have to say Scooter would have my driver.
Rightio. So YouTube chat's firing in. Muffin says driver of the day Karen. Revs has got driver of the day Morgan Davey. Debrev driver of the day Artsy. Well, I think I'm tending to agree with Debrev here. I think driver of the day Artsy. He put in an absolutely solid effort. I can't remember where he started, but it wasn't. I think it was P4 or P5 from memory, somewhere thereabouts. Very solid
Morgan
drive.
Davey
kept him artsy, mate. Talking about artsy here.
Started fourth.
There we go. P4. He's kept his head down. He's put on a very solid drive and didn't give up even on that last lap. And it paid off for him, snagging P2 off Morgan Davies at the last minute. So I'm going to go with him for
Morgan
my drive of the day.
He also was fastest driver in qualifying, pole position, and also scored fastest lap in the race.
Not bad. That'll be a few nice bonus points for him. I think he'll be very happy with that. So that is all from us here at the Division 2 race. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just about to go to a short intermission and we will be back very shortly with the Division 1 race, which I promise you will be an absolute cracker. Because I've seen these guys in practice earlier today and they are not here to muck about. I can guarantee that. It's not 9 o'clock, so I can't say what I wanted to say, but you get the general gist of it all. So thank you very much.
They are the cream of the crop.
Thank you very much, Renegade. I'll get the name right.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for joining me in the comms box tonight and for all of your efforts this season. It has been much appreciated.
My pleasure, always happy to help.
And we shall be back very shortly. Don't go far. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you've got your drinks, got your snacks, had your toilet break, because we are in for 33 laps of a red-hot racing action tonight. And joining me now in the comms box is Revs. Revs, mate, how you doing?
Yeah, doing well, mate. Yourself?
I am fired up after that Div 2 race. That had a bit of everything. So I am very much looking forward to what the Div 1 boys can turn on for us tonight.
Well, I'm nervous as being on as RD, so I can imagine how they're feeling for the last race.
Yes. Now, speaking of nervous, for those of you who may have missed it on our stream last week, we did a little bit of a reveal video of our car of choice for next season. In case you have missed it, I'm just going to fire it out for you again. So sit back and look at what everyone will be driving in Season 10 of Sector 1. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. It is none other than the Group 4 Renault Megane trophy car. Now, in case you're confused, it is most definitely not the front-engined, front-wheel drive Renault Megane. It is the mid-engined, rear-drive Renault Megane, which certainly makes it a bit more of a lively package to deal with. You think to yourself, oh, it's a Group 4 car, how bad could it be? Then it turns around and bites your leg off. So I'm really looking forward to driving it. Right? Okay, it's not the fastest car on a long straight, but through the corners it is an absolute delight, in my opinion anyway. So I'm looking forward to being on track in that next season and hopefully having some really good battles with my fellow drivers, which I do believe includes yours truly, Revs.
Ooh, really?
That is assuming, of course, you will be joining us next season. Sorry, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself.
Yes, I am. I'm already signed up for next year.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. So I suppose what the viewers at home would like to hear, I would assume, is the sounds of engines in qualifying, but I've just realised that I should probably do a quick run through the points for Division 1 at this point in time.
Yes, we also have a scratching as well.
Oh dear.
Apparently, Tim DeRags has got father duties, and he couldn't make it because the way the race sort of ran late. So he sends his apologies.
Fair enough. That is unfortunate. But in the Division 1 point standings, leading the way for Brocky05 Sim Racing is a young mountain goat. Could he be on the cusp of a season victory here tonight? He's on 225 points. And he's got his teammate Foss 18 points behind, so he's still mathematically in with a chance, thanks to, I'm going to bring this up again because I can't help myself, because of Goaty's slight pit lane discrepancy at Suzuka, where he decided to not switch to wet tyres during the pit stop on a wet track. Not his finest moment, which has cost him a little bit. So it has allowed his teammate to stay mathematically in with a chance this season. Still technically mathematically in it for Blacklight is Niff, sitting in P3. Little bit of a lead over John from Lightning Motorsport, P4. And there's a little bit more daylight back to young Wakey for Kraken Esports in P5, who has my teammate Ricky Bobby nipping at his, just Ricky Bobby nipping at his heels. There's a bit more of a points gap back to Lenosis, P7. Old Wakey's P8 with 128. Dadson is nipping at his heels with 124 points, joined by big CPJ from CP Motorsports on 123. and GTR from Blacklight on 122. So that 8th to 11th battle is certainly up for contention in the points tonight. Stickers doing very well for himself here in Division 1 on 119 points. He's got Evil Evo from Doghouse Motorsports on 117 for company. And as Revs mentioned earlier, Tinder Rags is unfortunately unable to make it tonight, so he may find himself overtaken by Karen from Division 2, who may move up to P14 in Division 1 in terms of the final point standings at the end of the season. Ooh. So I think, without any further ado, we should probably kick off qualifying. What do you say, Revs?
Yeah, man, sounds good to me.
Let's...
Poor old pink button looking right at me saying it's about time.
Press me. Press me.
6 seconds.
Righto, ladies and gents in the chat, who do you think's going to take pole position? Is it going to be GDR? Will it be Goaty? Will it be Foss? Will it be the champ? Let me know what you think. Drivers are just pulling out of pit lane now. And just going to try and locate the first out on track, which I do believe is, yep, Dadson. Might have to wait for the first sector split for the driver order to sort itself out, because it is unfortunately telling me the champ is first out on track. Sorry, John. There we go. So we've got Dadson first out on track. Well, was first out on track for team owner for Dadson Racing. Foss for Brocky05 Sim Racing. He's out in clean air. I've seen him in practice. He's looking fairly mean tonight. I don't think he wants to let his teammate have the win that easy tonight. So I think that if there's any team orders from Brocky, they might just be ignored. There might just be an accidental radio failure tonight. It's Dadson, second out on track. Pink Wheels himself, Lenosis, third on track. Been looking very quick in practice sessions as well. And he's got Mountain Goat just a little bit out of slipstream, so I don't think Lenosis wants to help out the young kid too much. Those Brocky05 liveries are looking absolutely sensational. The pink and the blue, the sunlight just glinting off them. Speaking of sunlight glinting, the beautiful green and black from Lightning Motorsports car with John. Speaking of beautiful, the beautiful blue of the Blacklight Motorsports Tyre Power sponsored entry. GTR looking very rapid as always. He's right behind John, so he might be able to use a little bit of the slipstream down the straight. Evil Evo for Doghouse Motorsport. I've heard rumours that there will be a wheel colour change for him next season, so...
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure how happy... I'm not sure how happy he will be about that, because I'm not sure if the decision is voluntary or forced. But as we've got drivers over the line, we've got Mountain Goat first out of the blocks with a 1:18.22 fastest lap.
Wow.
That's very impressive for a first flyer. Lenosis P2. He's 200ths behind him, as he is right behind Dadson on track. So that may hamper him on this lap. He might choose this lap to just duck into the pits and chuck on some fresh rubber. GDR into P3 on his first flyer, very solid. He's gone purple by 1.5 tenths through the first sector. He's done a 1:18.3 first flyer, which is incredibly quick still. John a further 1.5 tenths behind him in P4. Niff, he's having a sniff in P5. He's only a tenth behind John. Keep an eye on him as he comes through into the second split. He is 1/10 purple. I reckon there'd be a few cars purple as John's aborted this lap. By the look of it, he's pulled to the inside of the track there, just getting himself out of the way.
Ricky Bobby with a 0.5 penalty.
Oh no. As I thought he was going to duck into the pits there. Keep an eye on Niff. What can he drop across the line? Puts himself... Oh, he improves on his time, but he's only into P6. John's pulled into the pits.
Yeah, I expect most of them to pit after the 4th lap, hit some fresh tires, and finish out the rest of the...
Young Goaty improves. He's dropped a 118.1 on that second flyer, and he's purple again. But he does have some traffic in the form of Dadson in front of him. That may definitely hamper his pace on this lap. He might just choose this one to duck in for some fresh rubber. He's got Lenosis running off track there, doing a bit of sand sweeping. GDR's put himself into P2 with a 118.244. He's only a tenth behind the young Goaty, so certainly not out of it just yet. Young Wakey into P4. He's done a great job there with a 118.296 as Goat and Foss and Dadson and GTR and Lenosis. I think it'd just be easier if I listed the drivers who weren't going into the pits.
Yeah. It was sort of be expected.
Yeah.
I mean, get 8 laps quality.
John's on an out lap at the moment. Keep an eye on him. We'll see how he goes, whether he runs into traffic or not. There's drivers coming out of the pits in front of him. We're riding on board. Yep, they've moved over. He's got Evil Evo by the looks of it, right in front of him, but there's enough room. He may not be hampered by Doghouse driver out on the colder tyres. How's he looking through the first sector split? Oh, he's 2 tenths down. Not looking great. We'll stay on board with him. Go for a lap. This very, very short but very, very intense circuit. Very smooth through that uphill right-hander. On exit, gets a power down nicely. Still down. But he's going to have a slipstream here as Lenosis pulls to the inside of the track. Bit squirmy there from John. And he's just backed off a little bit there just to give himself some breathing space from Evil Evo. It's a smart move, I think. Doesn't want to be too close. Oh no, he's pulled into the pits. Oh, Goaty, very sideways there out of turn 1. That might hurt his time this lap. He's done his out lap. He's got some heat in the tyres. What can he bring to the table for this first sector split? Well, he's only 500s down, so there's certainly plenty of room to improve. As it looks like there's Ricky Bobby's just, where's he at the moment? Oh, he's not having a great night tonight. He's currently down in P12. He's just, I don't know, I thought we might have had a mechanical issue there, but he's just let all the drivers go past. I think he just wants his own little clear bit of track to be able to run his lap, so he doesn't want to get in anyone's way. Just wants his own space. Good to see.
Loss has been good. Yeah,
As
17.9.
Hey, there we go. There's our first sub 18. As GTR goes faster again with a 117.7. Boss fires the broadside, and GTR returns with his own salvo. Goes...
He's just magic behind the wheel.
Nearly 2/10 faster than Foss. Wow. Now, can Goat respond? Well, he's a little bit down in that first sector. There's still plenty of time to be able to make that up. Well, plenty of track length. I reckon they will get this lap and one more. It's very, very easy to lose time here, as Goaty has just demonstrated on that uphill right-hander, getting very sideways, and has lost 4/10, so that lap is a bit of a write-off, I would say. So we'll take a look at Foss, who's got the old indicator flash going on.
It was purple at the last sector checkpoint.
Yeah, comes across the line. Can he knock GDR off the front step? Oh, he's 3 thousandths down on his time.
A whisker.
GDR across the line. Improves on his time by 3 thousandths of a second. Now running a 1:17.714 instead of a 7:17. So looking at Foss as he comes through the first sector split. He is purple by 2/10. This could be an epic lap if he hangs on to it. GDR comes through as well. He is 3 thousandths purple again, but Foss is definitely the man to watch at this point. I didn't see where Goaty was at the first sector split. Or Foss a little bit squirmy on that uphill right-hander. He's still purple by 700ths. GDR's taking a lot of liberty with those track limits. It's Foss onto the main straight now. Final lap of qualifying. It's make or break at this point. Can he knock GTR off the top step? He cannot. He improves on his time by 100ths, but GDR hangs on to pole position. Foss's teammate Goaty hangs on to third spot. My boy Lenosis in P4. Very, very commendable effort. I normally try to keep my team bias to myself here in the comps box, but I'm letting it all hang out a bit tonight, I think. It's the final round, so I think I can get away with that. And that is our qualifying run and done. Now, I also realised that... There we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to show you guys that same video again. I'm sure you've seen it enough now. So, we shall have a look at the qualifying results again. So, pole position for Blacklight Motorsport is a GTR with a 1:17.714, which, not gonna lie, that's stupidly rapid. Then P2, P3 is a BSR lockout with Foss pipping his teammate for P2, Mountain Goat taking P3, Lenosis in on P4. Then we've got young Wakey for Kraken Esports sharing the third row with the other Blacklight driver, Niff. Fourth row of the grid is the Dadson team owner in Dadson. And for Lightning Motorsport, we've got the champ, aka John. And the fifth row of the grid for Doghouse Motorsport is Evil Evo. Alongside him is the other green and black car, which I swear is not going to be confusing at all, is the Lightning Motorsport team owner stickers. On the sixth row of the grid is my other boy, Ricky Bobby and CPJ. And rounding out our grid for the night is Old Wakey for Black Rose in P13. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the YouTube chat, I would like to hear your podium predictions, because I reckon this one is going to be on the fairly unpredictable side of things tonight. I sense there's going to be a few things going pear-shaped, so to speak. What about you, Revs? What do you think?
Everyone seems very fast here tonight. GTR is probably happy to be back in Div 1. He wants to put his foot down and probably show everybody here I'm back. Foster's been looking really good in practice. He put out a great lap during quali. Mountain Goat, he's been looking good all season. And you got the wild card of Lenosis. So, and Young Wakey. So, I mean, it's a toss-up, but American GTR is going to put his foot down and said, look, guys, I'm back in Div 1. I'm the one you have to beat, so come catch me.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a fan of all these young fellas coming up and trying to take his title, or taking his title away. So I think he might just want to make a bit of a statement tonight and say, hey, you've still got work to do before you've completely beaten me.
Yeah. And before we start the race, I just wanted everybody to know that Dadson's running the Movember livery for men's cancer. So it's just awareness, and just let everybody in Sector 1 know.
Yeah, definitely. Movember is certainly a worthwhile cause that is worth getting behind and supporting. I am not the greatest at growing a mustache myself, but yeah, I'm not the kind of person who can get away with that, to be perfectly honest. So I think, without any further ado, we should probably kick this race in the guts. What do you say?
All right. Yeah, here we go. 9 seconds.
Beautiful. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, come on, give us your podium predictions in the chat. I'm keen to see them. And no, Brocky, there is no rain here for GTR. But also there's no intermediate tyres for Goaty either. So you can take some consolation in that as well. Rightio, ladies and gentlemen, we have cars on the grid. And we are underway. Everyone looks to have gotten a fairly clean start. It's going to be a bit of a battle going down towards turn 1. Goaty's tucked in behind GDR. Sorry, Foss is tucked in behind GDR. I'll get it right one day. They're both young and quick. We'll leave it at that. Goaty's defending very nicely against Lenosis. He's tucked in behind him. John, P5. He's gotten the better of Young Wakey at turn 1. He's certainly proven his ability to get that Lightning Motorsport car off the line. And I'll let you all in a little bit of a secret. I was running a tune from John last week, and I can confirm that thing launches like an absolute demon.
Gnosis with a little squirrely, back to 7th.
Oh, he's not. Oh, back to 8th now. Oh, no, back to 7th. Oh, he's going side by side with Dadson there at the moment. No, definitely into 8th. Might just see if I can log that for a later replay. As GDR is leading the way. He's got half a second buffer over the 2 BSR guys in P2, P3. But it's probably not too far-fetched to say that those guys will be working together to a certain degree.
Very quick opening lap.
124.7 from a standing start. Right. That was sort of my late stint race pace. Okay, and they're doing that from a standing start. Okie dokie. So it's all looking relatively settled for the moment here in the top part of the grid. Young Wakey's P5. Evil Evo P6. Dadson's P7, but he's got stickers and a very grumpy looking Lenosis bearing down on them. Niff's had a bit of a nightmare on that first lap as well. He's back down to P11. I wonder if he might have gotten caught up in that first lap incident, shenanigans. It's had a bit of a moment, so let's see if I can see what happened to Lenosis. That is a negative Ghost Rider. we will not be seeing what happened to Lenosis on that first lap, so we may have to wait until the post-race debrief to find out what happened there. But he's getting a lot of pressure from Stickers at the moment. Stickers makes a move down the inside, turn 4. Can't keep it stuck. Sorry. You were saying back to GTR?
Yeah, GTR. He's got the second lap, fastest lap for 1:18.2. That's really fast race pace.
That is very quick for race pace, first flyer. Foss and Goat still running line astern, P3, P2, P3. John in P4, he'll be working hard to try and close that gap up to Goaty. He won't be happy about sitting behind the young fella. But he's got another young fella in the form of young Wakey right behind him. He's got the slipstream down the straight too, so he could be looking for a move here. John's very defensive on that inside line. Does Wakey have a move under brakes? No, John's still defensive. Cuts off the apex, says not today, not at this corner, young man.
It'll come down to who's going to control their tires. This track has got a few left-handers that just really are quick, and they'll chew your tires on the right side of the car. So I think it might come down who might have faster pace as the wear comes down.
Definitely tyres are a massive factor in this race tonight. Just forming behind the young Wakey, we've got a nice little battle brewing here between Evil Evo and Dadson. Evil Evo up to P6. He's got Dadson in this just inside slipstream range. Who in turn has Lenosis just inside slipstream range.
Wakey just got himself a penalty and he was all over John.
Oh dear. Did he get a bit cheeky with that final chicane, perhaps?
Yes, at the final corner, yes he did. He just took a little bit too much.
Yeah, there'll be some cursing because he may try to make a move on John this lap just to try and get in front of him before he has to serve that penalty. But I don't think John's going to be the easiest person to pass, especially when he is now very close to the rear bumper of young Goaty. Just heard in from the pit lane communications that Niff had a bit of a rough turn 1 on lap 1. Might have gotten a bit of a
penalty,
bit of a nudge wide at the first turn, which does explain his drop down the field. GTR with the penalty.
He might keep the lead though. It looks like he's got the 1.2, 1.3 lead.
Oh, that will get Foss right within slipstream down this straight though. He's straight away gone defensive to the very left-hand side of the track. He senses he's got enough distance, moves back out to the racing line, but that has definitely brought the two BSR guys right back on top of him.
Yes, it does.
Got to be very careful at this track. Those half-second penalties, though you think, oh yeah, it's just half a second, she'll be right. They can prove very, very dangerous, as we've just seen. You've worked hard to build a gap to the driver behind you, and then you get slapped in the face with a penalty, and then they're right back on your rear bumper, and you've got to start all over again. But where are we here? John in P4, he has dropped off the back of Goaty a little bit. He's just over a second off the back now. Does have a little bit of a margin back to young Wakey in P5 to the tune of 1.3 seconds. 1.5 seconds back to Evil Evo, who's got about the same gap back to Lenosis, so we're getting rather evenly paced here after just under 6 laps completed. Lenosis has managed to get the better of Dadson, back up into P7. Ran a 118.6 on that previous lap to Dadson's 1:19.2, so certainly laying down some very quick race pace. Stickers in P9, got Niff for Blacklight, up into P10, chasing down Stickers, so he could find himself back up into P9 very, very soon. Old Wakey, P10. Staying ahead of Ricky Bobby. He's probably not having the hottest night tonight. But, still doing very, very commendable times in the form of some mid to high 19s. And CPJ probably not having his best night either, I think. Well, his lap times aren't looking too bad. Maybe he just got the raw end of the deal in turn 1, maybe. Back up the front. GDR still half a second in front of Foss. Foss just keeping the pressure on at this point. Now these two have got a bit of a gap between them now. Like there's just over a second now between Foss and Goaty. The gap between Goat and John is out to 1.2 seconds now. So maybe Goaty's just deciding to act as a bit of a rear gunner for Foss to try and keep John at bay, and I'm sure they'll be on the team radio saying, "Hey, you go chase GDR. Off you go. I'll guard the rear and keep John away." We're on lap 8, so we're probably a little bit overdue for that tyre and fuel update. What do you say,
I was
Revs?
just about to mention that. Yeah, sure will. All right. We'll start off with, BTR a little slippery. Foss is just taking him.
Oh dear. We did manage to catch that on the stream, thankfully. GDR's had that little bit of a squirmy moment. We might find out if that was tyre related. So how's Foss looking for tyres and fuel?
Okay, well, out of the top 3, GTR's got the better fuel of the lot. Their tires in the top 3 all look the same. Foss has probably got maybe 15% of a tire left, and just under a half a tank. GTR is on a half a tank, same tires. Mountain Goat, get it right. It's just under a half a tank, and tires are the same, maybe about 12% left. John 27, he's just under a half a tank, but his tires are looking really bad. That front right looks like it's only about 10% left. Wakey's tires are even worse than John's. He's probably at maybe 7-8% of a tire, and he's only maybe got a third of a tank. Evil Evo, he's got maybe 8% of a tire on that front right, and just under a half a tank. Lenosis is a little better with the fuel, and maybe 10% of a tire left. Dadson, his tires are looking all right. That front right, he's probably got maybe 12% of a tire and just over a third of a tank. Niff, he's got 10% of a tire and maybe just falling on a third of a tank. Stickers, he's just under a half a tank of fuel and maybe 10% of a tire. Old Wakey, maybe 8% on the front right and a third of a tank. Ricky Bobby, he's looking good on the fuel, just under a half a tank and maybe 8% of a tire left. CPJ50, he's got 10% of a tire and a third of a tank of fuel, but I expect them all to be in after the lap 11. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Revs. That was our APR tyre and fuel update. Now, what I was seeing there was it's looking like there's going to be a very competitive battle pack here with, you've got Niff, you've got Dadson, Lenosis, and Stickers, sort of all in the 7, 8, 9, 10 range.
Oh, something happened to GTR. He's back to 5th.
While we're talking about that, what has happened there? Let's see if we can possibly catch that on our tyre and fuel. Not our tyre and fuel, our action replay. No, unfortunately not. He's possibly had a bit of a sketchy moment that has cost him.
I noticed he's been really hungry on the corners. He's taking a lot of bites.
John's pulled into the pits. He's pulled the pin early at the end of lap 10. So that handballs the lead out to Foss.
Wakey with the 0.5.
And he's got Goaty back up on his rear bumper in just within half a second. Cough team orders, perhaps? Cough? No, I highly doubt it. I say that in jest. From what I've heard, there is no such thing as team orders at BSR. It is don't kill each other. Other than that, race. Oh, as Foss has a very squirmy moment at turn 7. That stupid. It's after 9 o'clock. That bastard of a corner, the uphill right-hander. He has run wide into the sand trap, and that has handed the lead to young Mountain Goat, and we will see if we can catch that one on our Liquid Solutions action replay. No, we've got a lovely replay of him driving out of the dirt. He will have very, very dirty tyres. That will not do him any favours whatsoever.
Mountain Goat in.
As he has...
31 on the fuel.
Chosen to come into the pits and get rid of those tyres. Pretty much everybody's in the pits at this point. And Goaty has quite the fuel advantage, as does GDR actually. Noticeable difference in fuel between those two drivers and everyone else around them. So Goaty's well out in front to the tune of 3.5, 4 seconds. John, the champ, has put himself into P2 with the undercut pit stop. Will that come back to bite him later? That remains to be seen, but for now, he will be very happy with that.
Looks like everyone filled up to do the 11 laps, so I expect everyone to be in after lap 22.
Except maybe John, but we will definitely keep an eye on that.
Yes, except for John.
He's definitely running the alternate strategy here. GDR's managed to consolidate into a P3. He's got ahead of Foss after the Foss's earlier incident. I think that's equaled the two of them out. They've both had a bit of a mishap, and while it's cost them both track positions, it's relative to each other has put them back where they were. That has brought young Wakey back up into the battle. He's in P5 at the moment. 8 tenths off the back of Foss. Evil Evo having a very, very solid race here in P6. He's just flying along. He's doing his thing, staying out of trouble. Touch wood so I don't put the commentator's curse on him. Keep going, mate. Lenosis
has moved up 2 spots since his problem that he had. From 9th to 7th, so he is moving the field.
He was running in P4, I believe, at one stage, or started.
Yeah,
in
that
P4.
was the quali. Yeah. Then he went back to 9th, and then he's moved back up to 7th.
So a bit of a recovery drive here from Lenosis. He's doing well. A bit slidey there, but still quick. Rocky's in the YouTube chat. Early pit might nom John later. Yeah, I agree. It might come back to bite him later, but it could also work out very well for him, depending on how he manages his tyres in this middle stint. It remains to be seen. There is a hot little pack forming here, and you've got Stickers and Niff going at it for P8, P9. And then P10, 11, 12 in the form of old Wakey, Ricky, Bobby and Dadson is looking like it is about to kick off. as GDR looks like he sets the fastest lap with a 1:18.1.
Moving.
Yes, he did just set that on lap 13. Very squirmy through that first sector, but that is some very rapid race pace. I think it's because he can see John in front of him, and he's probably not particularly happy about that. He has managed to drop a bit of time off Foss. He's got a gap of a second now. Young Wakey's managed to make up a little bit of time on Foss. He's down to under a second. Well, down to half a second now. He's very quick through this second sector. Foss was a little bit smoother on that bastard corner, which I've now affectionately nicknamed it. Not so affectionately. But I don't think young Wakey's going to be close enough for a move down this main straight. Even though it's very long and you do get slipstream, he needs to be a couple of tenths closer. Gap between John and Goat, still 4.4 seconds. But that gap between John and GDR has come down. Was 2.5 seconds earlier, it's now 1.7. So GDR's on a middle stint charge here. He's cranked out another 10th gap over Foss. Check back into that little mid-pack battle. Evil Evo's maintaining about a 1 second gap to Lenosis in P7. Stickers is still about 3/4 of a second in front of Niff. He's holding his own here. P8. Ricky Bobby's made a bit of a move. He's got the better of Dadson and Old Wakey to put himself up into P10. Got himself in the top 10. He'll be very happy with that. After a, well, not the hottest start to the race, but it's coming back to him a little bit. Got Old Wakey now coming under pressure from CPJ. Coming into turns 12, 13. Wakey running very wide there. Is he going to get a penalty? No, he's gotten away with that. He's kept enough of the car on the tarmac. Is Jay going to put a move on him under brakes into turn 1? No, no, keeps it safe. Plays it smart.
Oh, Lenosis with a 1 second penalty.
Oh dear. Just as he's managed to get himself right on the rear bumper of Evil Evo. How did he pick that one up, do you know?
No, I don't. I saw the red. Very difficult to get a 1 second penalty here. Maybe it might have been over 2 corners.
Oh, he's very skatey through the bastard corner. But that 1 second penalty is definitely going to drop him right off the back of Evil Evo. He's got a few seconds buffer back to Stickers, so he's not going to come under pressure from there, but he will have the frustration of worked so hard to get so close to Evil Evo, and he's just going to have to do it all again. Checking back in on that gap between John and GDR, it is down to sweet bugger nothing, like to half a second or less. GDR's now starting to apply the pressure, coming through turns 2 and 3. I don't think we'll see a move into 4.
Yeah, I don't think GTR wants Mountain Goat to get any further ahead than what he already is.
I would definitely agree with you there. Now, this section of track isn't the greatest for overtaking. You'd have to be a very brave man to try and overtake under brakes into this corner. It's very easy to get too enthusiastic and run wide, and then you end up basically being, well, a garden ornament in the sand trap. jump on board with GDR, I think. Does take a lot of curb in that last second, in that last chicane. Quite possibly how he's been getting those penalties. He's in the slipstream of John, but he's not quite making up as much ground as he might like. Into third very early coming out of turn 1. Interesting. Gives him a great drive, but John's got the car beautifully positioned. It's almost inviting GDR to dive down the inside, which he does into turn 4. GDR gets the move done. He will be very happy with that. He's now got John between himself and a rather hard charging Foss, who's not mucking about either. So GDR up into P2. John looking to just try and stick with him. Hang on to that
John
slipstream.
did that. He did that pit 1 lap earlier, so his tires aren't quite as up to scratch as what GTR's are. There's definitely a significant difference between the tire wear between GTR, John, and Foss. So I expect Foss to jump all over John here in a few laps.
That might have been the smarter play there from John, knowing he's on the different strategy. Don't burn your tires trying to fight. Just let the overtake happen, because it didn't look like there was a whole lot of resistance there from John. He could have quite easily shut the door, gone defensive into that corner, but he didn't. So, might be just playing the longer game here. He's still got Foss to worry about, who is churning up quite a bit of dirt there on the exit of turn 3. He's using all of the track and then some. Probably not going to do his tyres any favour in terms of grip by getting all that dirt and grass on them. This is going to be a nice little battle pack very shortly. We've got GDR, looks like he's just managing to stretch the legs away from John. He's out to 8/10 now. We then got Foss and young Wakey joining the party. Just checking back in. Evil Evo, P6, still driving very, very solid race here. Still got 2.8 seconds back to Lenosis after he had that 1 second penalty. That cost him quite badly. He's got a 2-second gap back to Stickers, who's managed to drop Niff to the tune of 2.2. Then another 2.7 back to Dadson, who has made a beautiful move under brakes on Ricky Bobby into turn 1. I was about to say Ricky Bobby in P10, and then the timing order changed, so I think we should have a look at that on our action replay and just see how that went down.
Foss up to third.
So Dadson's got the run on Ricky Bobby down the main straight. And that's just some beautiful work under brakes there from the Dadson TO. Textbook maneuver, gets it done, clean as a whistle. Goaty still out front. As you said, Foss has managed to make his way past John, who now has young Wakey tapping on the rear bumper and moving down the inside down the main straight. Young Wakey gets it done well before the braking zone, but can John hang it around the outside? Given that his tyres are a little bit worse for wear than the guys around him, that may not be in his best interests. Chooses not to. He's just hanging in there at this point. Because he's running a slightly longer stint in this middle stint, I have the feeling he may pit around the same time as the guys around him, just to bring himself back into line, and then go absolutely hammer and tong in that last stint. That gap between GDR and Goat is out to 9 seconds. Gap still steady between GDR and Foss at just under or thereabouts a second. GDR still has the fastest lap of a 1:18.1. So all Goaty has to do at this point is finish the race where he is, and he has the Division 1 title signed, sealed and delivered. And I would also say, being signed, sealed and delivered will be the team's championship, with Goat in first and Foss currently in third. If they finish where they are, it will wrap it up in style. And I should probably stop talking before I put the commentator's curse on both of them. I can hear Brocky screaming at me to shut up. So that I will do. Evil Evo has put himself up into P5. What has happened here? Who are we? We are missing John, who has, I think he's pulled into the pits.
Yeah, Goaty's in the pits. John's gone into the pits, he's come out, he's got 3/4 of a tank of fuel.
Okay, so John's done his pit stop, he's good to go to the end. Lenosis with another half a second penalty. Those penalties are really costing him this race.
Goaty with only 2 left on the fuel.
He's got...
I expect everyone to be in this lap.
GDR's got a little bit of fuel advantage over Goat, but there was a fairly sizable gap, so it's probably not going to make much of a difference.
No.
Dead equal on fuel with Foss behind him. Ricky Bobby
Dadson
going around
12
again.
And 14.
That's a brave move from Ricky Bobby, but he's probably figuring, bugger it, I'm going to roll the dice, I've got nothing to lose at this point. So we'll give him a little bit of TV time while he's running in provisional first place on track. I said I wasn't going to be unbiased, and I'm living up with that. There's a bit of TV time. Also a bit of TV time for CPJ, who was running in provisional second, but has been shown the blue, well, actually not shown the blue flags. He has just moved aside, I think, to let Goaty past. He knows he's not quite on the same strat as Goat. Doesn't want to hamper his race too much. So I'd say he's done the right thing there. Just kindly let him on through. I think Ricky Bobby's done the same thing there.
Yeah, no front right tire left for Ricky Bobby.
He will definitely be in this lap. But he set himself up for a very quick last stint. He'll have better tyres than the guys around him when he does come out, as him and CPJ both into the pits. Now, just thinking maybe another half a lap or so, I'd like to take another tyre and fuel update, because I'm keen to see the fuel difference between GTR and Foss at this point. John back into P4. He's managed to work out a rather large gap of like nearly 5 seconds back to young Wakey. He's only 2.3 seconds ahead of Evil Evo at this point, so Evil Evo having a very, very solid race tonight. He's kept himself in there, and if young Wakey's not careful, he could find himself under fire, so we'll keep an eye on that gap. Lenosis, unfortunately hampered by the penalty situation tonight, down in P7. Niff with a beautiful comeback drive, moving himself up to P8. He's only 2 and a bit seconds off the back of Lenosis, so he could find himself into P7 if Lenosis's penalty woes continue, and I genuinely hope they don't. Please don't get more penalties, Lenosis, you've had enough. Stickers running in P9. Got a little bit of a gap back to Dadson, but certainly not to the point where you can relax. And here we see, ladies and gentlemen, in the wild, a rare instance of a BMW using its indicator. So they are not just ornamental, they actually do function. There is the proof for you. Dadson currently in P10, just 1.2 seconds behind Stickers, so he's certainly not out of touch there. After that last round of pit stops, Old Wakey in P11 and Ricky Bobby in P12. But what do you say we have that tyre and fuel update? Because I'm keen to see what is going on up the pointy end of the field in that regards.
Okay, Mountain Goat's second in the top 3 for fuel. Best is Foss. Foss looks like he might have maybe 4% more fuel than GTR, so that might come back to help him in the later end of the thing. The wear and tear and the tires are all the same, only about 5%. And you go down the fuel.
So Foss has only 4% more fuel than GTR.
Yeah, I'd say about 4, maybe 5%. That'd be about it.
3.5 second gap between the two of them, and I'm pretty sure that was a lot less before they went into the pits. Well, there we go. There's some time there. GDR's had a 1:18.7 on the previous lap, whereas Foss has had a bit of a squirmy one with a 19.9. So, okay, there's a time difference right there. Radio, sorry, carry on.
Let's see, we were at John. John's just maybe 2 liters above half a tank and 10% worn. Wakey, maybe 8% worn on that front right and a half a tank of fuel. Evo, exactly the same. Lenosis, exactly the same. Niff, he's got maybe a 5% fuel advantage on Lenosis, but the tires are just about exactly the same. Stickers is really good on his tires, and he's got a half a tank. He's maybe only used maybe 8% of his front right. Dadson, he's got maybe, he's definitely well over a half a tank of fuel, and he's only used maybe 10% of his tire. Old Wakey, he's used maybe 15%, 20% of his front right, and he's just under a half a tank. Ricky Bobby, his tires are looking really good, and he's got just under a half a tank. And CP, who just only pitted a lap or 2 ago, and he's just got over a half a tank of fuel and maybe 5% wear on that front right.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that final APR Automotive Tyre and Fuel update for Season 9. Alright, so that explains a little bit of what was going on between that gap, which is currently at 3.5 seconds between GDR and Foss. John still in P4. It's looking fairly comfortable. He's got 2.4 seconds back to young Wakey, who has managed to put a couple of tenths on Evo. He's up to 3-second gap there, so that gap's not quite coming down. Gap between Evo and Lenosis is just under 2 seconds, so we've still got, if my math is correct, we've still got 6 laps to go. Just under 6 laps to go, so that is possible. Although I just heard a whole bunch of tyre squealing from Lenosis at turn 1. Yep, and that gap's gone out to 2.1 seconds, so let's see if we can catch that on our action replay and see what happened there. He's come into turn 1 and he's done his best initial D impersonation. Looks good, but probably not particularly quick, unfortunately. Bit of a shame there. He was looking to be able to make up some time, and he's unfortunately dropped a little bit of time. He's down to 2 seconds behind Evil Evo now. He's got Niff down to 2.4 behind him. So GDR's managed to bring the gap to Goaty down to just under 5.5 seconds, just over 5.5 seconds. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to be able to take the win. Goaty might just be looking to put the cue in the rack for the race tonight and just bring the car home where he is. It's all he needs to do. Speaking of which, the young fella hasn't had a whole lot of TV time lately, so let's give him a little bit. He doesn't need to do anything silly at this point. I'm sure he's looking at GDR's fastest lap and thinking, yeah, I can beat that, but it's not the time or the place. A solid lead over the field. He's got a solid championship points lead. So all he needs to do is just bring the car home and he will take the Season 9 championship win, which I'm sure he and his teammates will be very happy about.
Yeah, he looks solid all season. He's well-deserved champion if he stays where he's at. So.
Most definitely. Most definitely. He proved he was human at Suzuka, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even the champions are allowed a little bit of a slip up here and there. And no, Goaty, I'm never going to let you forget about that. Don't you worry. My memory is not the greatest, but I will be remembering that. So John's still in P4. The gap between him and young Wakey has come down. It's 1.5 seconds at the moment. Still a few laps left, so he could come under pressure here from young Wakey because John is on a slightly different tyre strat. So as Brocky said in the chat, it may come back to nom 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 him later in the race.
Wakey and John are identical on fuel and almost identical on tires, considering that John pitted that lap early.
Okay, so it looks like young Wakey might have just been pushing to try and make some ground up. Evil Evo still in his well-established 6th position. And he's looking incredibly consistent on his lap times too. That's his first lap in a while in the 120s. All of his previous laps have been a 19.7, well, there you go, a 19.729 that was following a 7.25. How's that for consistency? And then preceding that was a 19.3, a 19.2, a 19.4, a 19.0. So the Metronome Award tonight goes to Evil Evo. Now a little battle here forming. P7, P8 with Lenosis. He's got Niff 8/10 behind him. Niff putting in a very commendable comeback drive tonight. Lenosis getting very cheeky with the gravel at the exit of the bastard corner. Gap's down to 6/10. Probably see that come down a little bit more on this long straight. So Niff gets into the slipstream. Might just jump on board Niff for a lap, half a lap or so. Doesn't look to duck into the slipstream of Lenosis, who's taken the defensive move. Niff has just chosen to run his own line. Very clean out of turn 1. Little bit of a sympathy lift in turn 3. Nails the apex, turn 4. Hard on the power, a little bit squirmy. Tell you what, that's a beautiful line through turn 5. Down the hill, down the roller coaster. How brave is he on the brakes? Absolutely smashing through the gears. He has dropped a little bit of time off Lenosis there. It's back out to a second gap. Just under a second now. Lenosis has run a little bit wide. Or will that come with an invoice for Lenosis through that final chicane? Oh, he's gotten away with that.
His tires are really hurting him. He's only got a sliver of a tire left, maybe 2% for the last lap.
We're on the final lap. Lenosis is just drifting his way through turn 1, manages to hang on to it, but that does handball the position straight to Niff, unfortunately. So Niff has played the smart game. He's just let the guy in front of him make a mistake. Doesn't have to do anything except drive on through the open door. So he's up into P7. But, on our final lap, coming through the final sector with an absolutely sensational drive pretty much all season long for BSR. Everyone in the chat, give it up for young Goaty. A very well-deserved championship win. He will be very happy as he comes down the main straight. Lights flashing, little bit of weaving. Well done, young fella, takes the win. Second place for Blacklight Motorsport. GTR crosses the line. Bit of what could have been, perhaps. Third place, Foss. John manages to hang on to 4th place over young Wakey, P5. Evil Evo, very commendable drive tonight, P6. Niff with a absolutely stellar comeback drive, P7. Lenosis, P8, just over stickers in P9. Dadson brings home P10. And we've got a bit of a fight on our hands as Ricky Bobby crosses a line in P11, as Old Wakey just manages to hang on to P12 over CPJ. And ladies and gentlemen, that is our final race for Sector 1 Season 9, run and done. Whew. Well, I expected Division 1 to have a fair bit going on, and I was certainly not disappointed. I was not expecting that amount of surprises, though. As we shall get to our post-race results. Just as a bit of a recap for you all. So, taking the win tonight and the Division 1 Category 1 Championship for BSR is none other than Mountain Goat. In P2 tonight for Blacklight Motorsport is GTR, and also gets a consolation point in the form of the fastest lap and pole position point as well. He ran a 1:18.116, which is mental for race pace. P3 on the final spot of the podium tonight is Foss, also for BSR. P4, John for Lightning Motorsport, aka the champ for Lightning Motorsport. P5 for Kraken Esports is Young Wakey. P6 for Doghouse Motorsport, green and black cars, is Evil Evo. P7 for Blacklight is Niff. P8 for APR Motorsport, Lenosis. P9 for Lightning Motorsport, Stickers. P10 for Dadson Racing is Dadson himself. P11 for APR Motorsport, Ricky Bobby. P12 for Black Rose Racing, it's Old Wakey. And rounding out our field tonight for CP Motorsports is CPJ. And that is our season completely and utterly run and done. And what a season it was.
Yes, it was.
So, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, please fire in your Driver of the Day nominations because I'm keen to see them because there's quite a few drivers tonight who are worthy of the nomination, in my opinion. What do you think, Revs? Who are you thinking?
Well, I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm definitely going to give it to Mountain Goat. He must have been really nervous coming into the race tonight from what happened in the last one, that little slip-up that he did with the tires. So doing what he did tonight and doing it confidently and with a bunch of space between him and GTR. We all know how fast GTR is. So I'm going to give it to Goat for nice, smooth, clean race and taking the championship. You can't do it any better.
Well, it is kind of hard to go against my normal feelings about giving Driver of the Day to the winner. I am very hesitant to do that, but I will consult the YouTube chat before I say anything. So lots of congratulations for Goaty in the chat. Good to see. I'm not seeing any drive. There we go. Brocky fires in with a Driver of the Day Evo. Captain Muffin, Driver of the Day Goaty. Lambinators, Driver of the Day John. Debrev, Driver of the Day Evil Evo. Gert, Driver of the Day Evil Evo. I'm glad there's a few people in there who said that because that's who I'm going to give my Driver of the Day to is Evil Evo. He just kept his head down. Like, I'm a big fan of this kind of drive. Kept his head down, stayed out of trouble, put in an absolutely solid effort, and reaped the rewards of it, and picked up a P6 in the process. So I can't fault it. Like, very hard to not give it to Goaty, but yeah, I'm gonna go with my gut feeling on this one.
Good pick.
Well, as that brings our season of racing to a close, it is probably best I mention right now that our Sector 1 Driver Awards night is on this coming Sunday, the 1st of December. We have our...
Awesome.
Sorry?
I said awesome.
Uh-huh. I'm very much looking forward to it. It is an absolute cracker of a night. It's where we let our hair down a little bit, not too much because that can get messy, but just a little bit. And we have some fun. We've got some fun races scheduled. If you haven't jumped into our S1 Discord, you'll find, hopefully, find a link in the description. If not, I'm sure you'll be able to find the Discord fairly easily. We have the fun races as well as our S1 season awards. Plus, we'll have a few special guests in the comms box, and basically an evening of fun and laughs, and definitely a lot of banter. So it would be great if you guys would be able to join us, and I would just like to say thank you to everyone who has joined us watching the streams over this season. And I hope that we can enjoy the pleasure of your company in the future. I am probably not the greatest at doing a season wrap-up, so I'm going to handball to Revs and see if there's anything he would like to add.
I'd just like to say thanks for having me as RD. It's been a great season, a lot of excitement, a lot of surprises, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to season 10. So 10 years, right? Well, 10 seasons. And,
yeah, not 10 years
1.
just yet.
No, not just yet. But yeah, 10 seasons, it's a big accomplishment. You have to be proud, Sector 1. 10 seasons, going really well. So I'm really looking forward to the next one. I hope I'm back as RD for season 10 as well.
I would love to have you back. And that actually gives me something else I should say. I would like to say thank you to all of our race directors who have stepped up this season. You have done an absolutely fantastic job. I cannot thank you enough. I would also like to say thank you to my fellow streamers who jump into the comms box here and do this job to run the YouTube stream and put the whole production together for everybody at home to watch and enjoy. I would also like to throw out a thank you to all of the drivers and team owners It's been great to have you around this season, and we hope we see you, well, hope we see all of you next season. You've put on a great show for us here at Sector 1, and it is a lot of fun racing against you all. I thoroughly enjoy it. I would not do it otherwise. I'd also like to throw out an extra big thank you to Shizer and his stewarding team for all of the hard work that they have put in behind the scenes doing our stewarding work this season. They've probably had a bit more work than they would have liked this season, but you know, that's a part and parcel of racing. It happens, and they spend a lot of hours behind the scenes doing the stewarding work, and it is a generally thankless job, so definitely got to throw out a big thank you and show of appreciation to them for all that they do here. Now, I think that's probably enough of me rambling on, so I'm going to wind it up here. So don't forget, please do the usual, like, subscribe, and join us next Sunday for the awards night. My name is Carbon Boy, and I will be signing out from here.